Hello, welcome to today's episode of Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have Gary J Tunnicliffe. You may not know him, but you know him because he's been in everything.
Or worked on everything. I've been in everything. I've worked on a lot of stuff. Yeah.
You've done how many Hellraiser movies now?
Eight Hellraiser films. I mean, started off as a makeup effects artist. On Hellraiser 3 was making the boxes and was a workshop supervisor. And then on Hellraiser 4 I took over as the designer and doing the makeup. And then over the years became everything from prop creation to second unit direction, acting out various roles in various Hellraisers, whether it was Bound Cenobite or Spike Cenobite or an interviewer like in Deader. If you watch Deader, I'm an interviewer at the very beginning of the film. And then graduated to writing and directing Hellraiser Judgment, the last of the Dimension Hellraisers before the rights went off to the new company who just made the Hulu movie. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, a lot of Hellraisers, and then a lot of Dimension horror films. A lot of sequels, Feast movies, Collector movies, 2 Halloweens. I was in a Halloween, I got killed, My Bloody Valentine, Blade, Sleepy Hollow, Dracula 2000, Dracula Ascension, Dracula Legacy, which I was in, Scary Movie 4. I mean, my resume sounds like a football score to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have a long resume, I have a wide resume. It's like Hellraiser 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Candyman 1, 3, Children of Corn 2, 4, you know, Halloween 6, whatever, I don't know, 8, you know, 3, 6, 1, yeah, bizarre. Yeah. Too much shit.
Too much. Now, what got you started in the business?
Well, I came from a very rural town in England where hopes and dreams of working in the film industry are a bit like hopes and dreams of being an astronaut. It's just, you know, just not going to happen. So I wanted to be an actor at first, and that wasn't going to happen. I was a singer in a band. And one day, and I always loved horror films. Always loved horror films. You know, watching the Hammer horror movies, on that stuff, and sneaking into the cinema when I shouldn't be to go and see horror films. And somebody gave me a copy of Fangoria magazine, and I saw Fangoria, but what I saw not only were films, but makeup effects artists, guys in heavy metal t-shirts with long hair, sculpting creatures like Norman Cabrera and people like that. I thought, hey, that looks like a cool job, and literally went home and grabbed a bag of clay and started, and found that I had a natural knack for it. And then became obsessed with it, just utterly obsessed. Within weeks, of knowing nothing about makeup effects. And my buddy I was like, do you have any of these Fangorias? He's like, yeah, I've got 100 of them. So I literally read 100 of them in like 2 days. And then, you know, suddenly Rob Bottin and Rick Baker and Tom Savini and Greg Cannon and names like that were just in my lexicon. It was off to the races, you know, aged 16, and then saw Hellraiser and it just blew my mind. And I literally sat in a cinema in Cannock in England and looked up and saw Pinhead and said, who did that? How did they do it? I want to do that. And that was my agenda.
That was one of the ones that caught me. I legitimately, I was 14 when Hellraiser dropped. Me and my cousin went to a local little theater that happened to have it.
Right.
And we're just like,
what's going on?
Well, what did we just watch? And you're just, then I'm hooked, you know.
I mean, I started reading Clive Barker. I read Damnation Game and the books of Blood. So I knew what I was kind of in for. But I think we'd all had enough of kind of the silent stalking killer, and suddenly he was a very kind of romantic, Shakespearean kind of bad guy. You know, if he's a bad guy, if you want to call him. Because after all, he's a demon to some, and yet an angel to others. So, and I thought that was interesting. Suddenly, I wasn't scared of Pinhead. I was more intrigued. And what I liked about Hellraiser was you left the cinema asking questions like, who was that guy? Why does he look like that? Was he human? What was the deal? You know, you wanted to know more rather than,
okay, next movie. Yeah.
Well, look, I understand Leatherface and Michael and Jason, and I think they, as is seen by the massive consumption by the public, that they're very valid. But I think they're a bit of a blunt instrument. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of social comment with those characters. I think it's a shame that the Hellraiser movies didn't explore that further. You know, I thought maybe they will in the new ones. I don't know, but that's what always interested me: the Order of the Gash and stuff like that.
The one that's bothered me is that the one that I don't think we'll ever get is the Scarlet Gospel.
No, probably not. Absolutely,
because that's the only one that Doug said he'd come back for.
Oh no! Look, I know what's the big. I'm sure if you dangle a paycheck of any worth, they'll grab the alternative.
But
If he's willing to sit and sign out by tens all day long, I'm sure he'll turn up and do a gig for some money.
yeah.
I don't know. Doug's free to do whatever he wants to do, I guess. But I think if James Cameron called him and said we're doing Avatar 4, I'm sure he'd want to be in that. I don't know. He's a working actor, I guess. So I mean, if he wants to work, but I don't know. I mean, I think if I don't know. I'm not going to speak to Doug, but I would assume that if they'd have called him for the reboot and said we want to use you in this, and here's a nice paycheck, maybe he should have turned up. Maybe they should have. I don't know. I mean, I've always felt Doug owned the character. That's it's iconic, and what he brought to the character was absolutely, unparalleled. So I mean, even with the stuff that we've done since, I mean, we never tried to copy or imitate Doug's performance, because you can't, because he set the bar and set it really, really high, and probably the foundation of the franchise is based on his performance. But all good things come to an end.
Yeah, sooner or later you got
someone has to change it up eventually, you know what I mean? And it's interesting what Paul did, I think, with the character, and it'll be interesting to see with what Jamie does with the character. I don't think it was interesting what Stephen Collins did with the character, but
now,
as you can probably tell, I'm not backwards about coming forward.
No. When I talked to Mike yesterday, Mike's like, he goes, let Gary talk. He goes, he has no qualms about burning bridges today.
No, I will torch every fucking bridge.
Because you are semi-retired.
Yeah. And let me tell you, right now, I'm being restrained. I am being restrained. There were things I wanted to just say that I didn't, so I'm being very nice at the moment.
Oh, man. Well, okay. I do gotta ask you one thing. I asked you as soon as I find out.
Bitch, absolute bitch to work with. Yeah. I hated her, as well. Johnny Depp, loveliest guy in the world. And I was proved correct when I worked with him years ago and worked with her and said that when they got married, and I was like, she's a terrible person in my opinion, and Johnny's a lovely person in my opinion. Everyone was like, how dare you? He's an abuser and she's an abused person. And I was like, time will see, and guess who was proved right? So justice for Johnny! Yeah.
We had this whole discussion similar to that. About people, because everybody likes to throw the guy tend to get thrown under the bus
big time
when it comes to certain things. I'm like, I'm not going to throw any names up. Maybe she's just a bitch, maybe she's unfriendly and not personable and not wanting to be around.
Well, I mean, without saying any names, if you're thinking about the person you're talking about, yeah, she was and wasn't. People have to understand, I've said this many times about these lawsuits, they should go and talk to makeup artists, because actors for some reason believe that when you close a makeup door, that it's this holy chapel where everything you say is completely, it's like the code of the road or something. But you get to see, when an actor comes in at 4 o'clock in the morning, tired, you get to see what the real person is like, whether they're needy and a pain in the ass to work with, because as a makeup artist, we have to just do our job. We can't have an opinion, we're not allowed to say what we think, and the funny thing is we have, sensitivity training now, and it tends to be very, when you do this sensitivity training, it's usually like being taught in a way that men are the predators, and like men do touchy-feely on girls and all this kind of stuff. And yet personally, and I've raised this in these discussions, I've had female actresses sit on my lap, grab my crotch, pinch my ass, and if I was to do that to a female actress, I'd be ripped apart, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's only a bit of fun, you know what I mean? I had a situation where I had a very awkward situation with an actor, and went to a producer and complained and said this person is rude and offensive and being belligerent to people in the makeup trailer, and the producer just said, look, it's only 2 weeks, just put up with it. And that's what it's like sometimes. They some producers do not want to know. They're like, look, we just got to get through this thing. We've got a job to do, so just suck it up, man. So it's. I have seen some terrible things happen in makeup trailers and on sets and in places. Whether it's people being treated badly, being yelled at for no reason, or people being literally propositioned into things, casting couch situations. I mean, you know, that's why everyone was surprised and like, oh, the casting couch is like it's been talked about for years.
It's never gone away. It's been a thing since the movie started, and it's going to be a thing until movies end.
But everyone always assumes the casting couch. They always think, oh, it's some creepy old producer hitting on some young starlet, and yet I've worked with male actors who say no, it's creepy male casting agents hitting on men, you know, and saying, hey, you do me a little favour and I'll get you in the business, you know what I mean? Here's the odd thing is for me is that working 35 years in the industry and having directed some films, I've never had those opportunities. Things where it's like, oh, you know, late night visits to the jacuzzi and stuff like that. I never saw any of that sort of. I mean, maybe I was just working too bloody hard. I don't know.
Didn't have time.
Yeah, I mean, usually if you're making a low budget film, you've really got to kind of kick ass and get the job done. So you don't have time to. You've got to get home and. This is what people don't understand about directing a movie as opposed to being a makeup artist. You do a makeup on somebody, you go in at 7 o'clock in the morning, you glue it on their face, you peel it off at 9 o'clock at night, and that's it. You go home and you eat some food and drink a beer and then go to bed. As a director, when you finish at 9 o'clock at night, you're usually thinking, what did I get today? What did I miss? Oh my God, did I do that right? That scene wasn't very good, was it? Like, I really wish I could go back and do that. Right, what do I need tomorrow? Oh my God, I've got such a big day to do tomorrow. Okay, so I need to work out what I'm doing. Oh my God, it's 4 in the morning and I'm up in 3 hours' time. You know what I mean? You are just on the boil for the whole thing, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting, and then you get to sit in the edit room 6 weeks later and go, oh God, I can't believe it. You just go, can you get a shot of it? You're like, I didn't get that one close up. Can we cut around that? Or can we cut around? It's brutal, man. And I found it even on high budget shows, you miss something or you don't get it. The luxury is on a big budget film, you can go back and reshoot it, but on a low budget film, you're kind of screwed.
You're done. Your 14 days or whatever you got is done.
Which is why now I'm absolutely manic when I direct. I'm like, I stay. Look, I like to chat and I like to get involved in conversations, but I won't leave the director's chair on set when I'm in between shots. I actually stay on set, no matter what I want to do. If I see some nice cute wardrobe girl who's paying attention to me, she's like, "Come over and have a chat." I'm like, "No, I must stay here,
stay right.
Watch the set and make sure, because this 20-minute setup might turn into a 30-minute setup, and then I've lost 10 minutes." So it's hard. It's very hard. You got to stay really, really focused.
Yeah, and now you, with the age of going from film to digital, did you just go from film to digital, or did you just go digital? Just how when you were directing?
No, first films I shot were on film, and even when I did a film with Danny Roebuck, we did a children's film, Jack and the Beanstalk. We actually did mixed media because we found that we wanted to shoot a lot of. I wanted a lot of in-camera work, flash framing, buzz framing, and trigger jumping, and you can't do that with video cameras. So we actually shot on video on high def, but then we used a Super 16 for certain sequences, which looks very similar. No, digital's great. I mean, it makes complete sense. I mean, the film. There was a point in time where if you were doing a low-budget film, I was like, maybe we should do it on film because it tends to look higher quality. It has a luster to it. Video can look a bit clean and a bit squeaky.
Yeah.
And without having the time to really light it or to play with it in post, it can look a bit jarring. Not to throw stones, but I think a lot of the reason people perhaps are trashing on the Monsters trailer is because it looks very digital and over clean, and a bit synthetic. Whereas film tends to have this lustrous quality to it. So there was a time when it would help on, to shoot a lower budget film on film. But the reality is that digital's getting better and better and better every day. So I mean, there are going to be filters. It's going to be like in the music industry when, 30 years ago you had to use certain amplifiers for sounds.
Yeah.
And now you just have programs that do it. I think there'll be a thing probably in a few years' time where you have a setting on your camera, and it's like it'll be Bolex so and so, it'll be whatever the name of the camera was, an Ariflex 402 or so and so, and you'll just flick through them, and you'll it'll change the settings now.
Oh yeah, because I mean, even the editing software that I have to edit my shows and stuff like that.
Oh no, absolutely.
It's
filters.
Yeah, dude, it's. I'm like, people go, oh, I want to make it look like VHS. I want to make it look like Super 8. I want to make it look like,
No, and I think, there was a reason for shooting things because you knew they're going to go on a cinema. But I think the world of cinema has drastically changed. Yeah. I don't think cinemas are going to be around ever in the way they were pre-pandemic.
No.
And I've been saying this for years. I think cinema is going to turn into a two two model situation. It's either going to be super high budget, where you go and spend $80 a ticket, and you have dinner and drinks, and you watch a movie, and it's an experience, and bellhops, and it's really quiet. Or it's going to be a $3 ticket where you can go in and literally throw popcorn around and take videos all day long, and you'll send your kids to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'll be a freaking riot where you have to hose the place down at the end of the day, because people will just start to naturally make their own decision. I think they do it already, but anytime a film gets advertised as a trailer, you have a barometer in your head that goes, oh, I'll go and see that at the cinema. Oh, I'll wait for that to stream. Oh, I'll wait for that to stream. I'll wait for that to stream. Oh, I'll see that in the cinema. And there's a very fine line. I mean, to get most people now, it's not like, in the 1970s when you had a 12-inch Sony Trinitron. Most people now have got a 70-inch super duper surround sound,
definitely,
cinema chair, double cup holder. It's like, why would I want to fucking have to go and get a parked car and get a babysitter, and then there's a possibility, because it happens, everybody's got the possibility that the one time you go to the cinema, there's some jackass in front of you going, or chatting, or someone's girlfriend saying, can you go get me a burger? Or some idiot going, I don't know, I think he's the guy who came in earlier on. Or some jackass. You go to see Texas Chainsaw 17, and they decide to bring their 2-year-old.
Oh, shit. Me and my wife, this is the one we love talking about. We went and seen Event Horizon.
Yeah. That family film, right?
Yeah, these people brought their little kid. The kid is screaming and crying the entire day.
Yeah.
And we're like, take your kid out of the theater. It's the only time where we're like, go! Get out of the movie.
They said, are you scared? He went, no, it's still like, this is movies. This is the only, I'm crying because it's the last good film we'll make. I'm just thinking he's going to make Death Race. That's why I'm crying. What happened to his career? That's what the kid's crying, really. How many Resident Evil movies can he make?
Oh, he's done.
And
then now we got Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City that everybody hated, that I liked. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I had to ask Mike over there. Okay, so when you got Fangoria, did you guys get the VHS tapes over there, like the screen grades and all that stuff? Like it?
Well, I had to get kind of like imported versions of them and then watch them on a transfer. Yeah, so the screen grade Savini. I mean, I wore that thing out, and I knew the dialogue of that. Sometimes I feel like an assassin. I take my little case and I go places and I kill people. I knew it word for freaking word. Man, absolutely, that thing was like a. It was like the greatest thing ever.
When you're talking about growing up in the middle of nowhere, I grew up middle of nowhere, Ohio, whatever. And it's funny because I found out like Kevin Yeager lived like 30 minutes down the road.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, well, what? The guy
and Jeff Yeager and Chris.
And I'm like, holy shit.
The whole Yeager family.
And and then I dissected how that was literally one of my school projects is we figured out how they made Chucky.
Oh, right, okay.
So we built like the hands.
I thought you said your project was to dissect Kevin Yeager. I wish you had on. I would pay that to happen now. Chucky's incredible, especially some of the stuff they did for Chucky 2 was amazing. Incredible. Dave Nelson and the guys who did all the next on that, phenomenal stuff. I still think that digging the grave shots and stuff is fantastic puppeteering. It really, really is. They raise the bar on that. They really do.
What's your work that you've done that you're most proud of? Or do you have one?
What's really weird is the silly little gags that you do in films that no one wouldn't know about, and you're like, I'm so proud of that. Like, you get an award for something that's garbage, and you're like, but the thing I did there was really good. Doing the kill on Gone Girl, I was proud of, because you were working for David Fincher, and David's, can be an intense guy to work for and suffers falls gladly. So if you could do a gag for David and have him at the end of the day say, hey man, you did some good work today. You kind of stepped up to the plate a little bit. So I think there was some good work in Sleepy Hollow. I was very proud of the stuff I did in Blade. And again, like Stephen Norrington, like David, is an intense force to work with. Steve will push you to the limits, and a lot of people I felt hated him. I've known Stephen for years, and I know what you're getting into. It's like, if you're going to go tornado hunting, make sure that you're going to wear some clothes that be aware of what you're going into. You can't be thin-skinned or work for Stephen Norrington. Stephen Norrington's very or was very kind of like, look, I'm going to run a marathon and I expect you to
Run beside me.
run beside me. And if you're going to be 60 feet behind me, I'm going to yell at you and scream at you and say, hey, I thought you were going to run a marathon. You can't be like, oh, I can't run very fast. No, it's not going to work. So that, I think some of the Hellraiser stuff that we did for the money is phenomenal. You know, when you look at Hellraiser Judgment and know that the effects budget was about $22,000, that's insane.
Yeah.
And what Mike and the guys did on Revelations, a film that is absolutely torn apart and ripped apart, and it should be. It's a bad film. But makeup effects wise, and I know people don't like the pinhead makeup, but the pinhead makeup looks bad because of the person it's on. It's nothing to do with the makeup. They cast a guy who physically did not have a good shaped head. The makeup was applied by Richard Redlefson, for God's sake. Richard Redlefson was like an Oscar-nominated makeup for doing Bombshell and stuff like that. He's a brilliant makeup artist who worked for us. And the effects budget on the whole of the makeup effects budget for Hellraiser Revelations was $7,000. $7,000, and that includes on-set work. So I mean, that's making Pinhead and the pseudo Cenobite, and making the costumes and the boxes, and then doing all of the gore effects, and a skinned guy, for Christ's sake, for $7,000. They were working. I mean, I was doing Scream 4 in Michigan at the time. These guys were like literally sleeping in the workshop because they wanted to try and do a good job. Hellraiser Judgment, we had like, I'd say $20,000 to do a new Pinhead costume, Chatterer, Siamese, the two twins, the auditor, and then we made all the props, the skin guy on the table, the butcher, the surgeon. That's why people are like, oh man, the surgeon's just like a girl in like a cat suit with a gas mask. It's like, I had no fucking money.
I ran out of money
no
at that
money
point.
time. Like nudity, girls, clothes. If you're on a super low budget show, do you go with a cheap, shitty costume, or go, you know what, we'll just have them take their clothes off? Because it's immediate production value. And I'm not particularly a fan of nudity. It's hard on set, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
People get dirty, but I would never do. In no situation with those girls have full nudity. They were wearing underwear, so they're only topless, and they agreed to it. And we tried to cover them in blood. The idea with that sequence, if you saw Judgment, was that I wanted to create this paradox where you see this beautiful body that as a man you're attracted to, but then you've got a girl whose face is torn off. So it's like, are you still attractive? Are you still finding this attractive? Would you? Could you? If you wanted to? The idea was you go. It'd be literally like having a man's head on a woman's body that you go, whoa, like, we've all been in a situation, right, where you see some girl with long hair and she's walking along and you stare at her butt and go, well, she's cute, and it turns around and it's a guy and you go, I didn't realise, whoops, but it's a pretty good ass, what was I thinking, so it was that, it wasn't just like, tits for hits, It was meant to be to twist your brain that you would go, I'm freaked out by this, I was sexually attracted. That's why I pan up to them. They would pan up and see them.
That whole thing reminds me of the Italian movie Conquest.
Oh right,
with the woman's got the skull face, and she's got that really hot body through the entire movie, and then
Well, Clive Barker always used to do this thing of like, what's beautifully grotesque, and that's what we were trying to do, was beautiful grotesquerie, and that's why I tried to make the audience feel like a hallucinogenic sequence almost. But also with the auditor, that what's going on with him is that he's disgusting looking. Obviously he's got lacerations all over his face, but you're still interested and engaged with him. He's not just so gratuitous that you have to look away. He's just enough that you're I'm interested in this guy. I'm curious. Like the most common question I get asked is, what's behind his eyes? Does he have eyes? Is there no eye sockets, or what is it? It's like,
I don't know.
You don't want to know, really. It's like a magician showing you the trick.
You don't want to see the trick.
But if he took his glasses off, it would ruin it. It's like Michael Myers taking his freaking mask off in Halloween Kills. It's like, what a dumb idea. You don't take Michael's mask off. I don't want to see he's got a beard or he's got grey hair. I don't want to know what's under there. I mean, I do, but I don't. All I want to know is that underneath there are the devil's eyes, the blackest eyes. That's all I want to know.
I think that's one of the things that worked great with like the old Leatherface, because all you see was his teeth. And you saw the
licking of the lips and all that. Yeah, but you don't want to know in reality. You don't want Jason looks like underneath. It's they look fantastic as they are. It's like they're iconic for a reason. I think it weakens a character when you make them human.
Yeah, it's as a comic book fan, that's why I hated when they humanized the Joker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I gotta ask, if you could work on one movie you haven't worked on yet, what movie, what franchise would you?
A really well paid one.
A really well paid one, yes.
A really, really well paid one. I'd rather work on a film that became the next franchise, to be quite honest. I'm lucky enough that I've worked on everything I wanted to do. I wanted to work on Hellraiser movies, and I did, and for good or for bad. I mean, and every time they handed us a Hellraiser script, I was like, oh God, I hope this is amazing, and maybe it will be. And there were times I was on a film set, on a Hellraiser set, going, this is going to be great. And times I was on a Hellraiser set thinking, this is going to be dog shit. And it's painful. It's painful working on a film, a franchise that you love, thinking it's not going to work out. Same with Exorcist at the beginning. I was a huge Exorcist fan and felt that Exorcist 2 was awful. Loved Exorcist 3.
Yes.
Loved it. Felt it was just a gem that was just never seen the light of day properly. And was really hoping that we'd have a crack at it with Hellraiser 4. And I had a great time on that film, and Rennie was amazing. Gotta say, Rennie Harlan doesn't miss around. But I'd rather work on something that became the next franchise. I'd love to get a script where you read it and you go, oh my God, this done right will be absolutely amazing. And there'll be part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Than a particular franchise that I think, oh, I'd love to work on. Is there anything? Because you always think, I don't want to work on the sequel, I want to work on the first one. I'd like to have worked on the reason. There's a reason it became a franchise, because that one was so great.
Yeah.
I mean, I never did a Freddy movie. I think that's probably one of the ones that, if I could go back in time, I'd love to have maybe done Dream Warriors. I thought Dream Warriors was the best Freddy sequel ever.
Yep.
Still go back and watch it and think it's great fun.
My son, me and him, he's just turned 23, and it's his favorite.
Well, it's great, and it's such a saviour movie, because Freddy's Revenge was garbage. You know what I mean?
It was weird, batshit crazy.
Weird, batshit crazy movie. And then Dream Warriors came back, and not only, but everything about it seemed right. From the music, the song, the Dokken song, to the hallucinogenic stuff in it, the dream, the makeup effects was on point. Everyone's makeup effects on it were great, and kind of 4 as well. They kind of carried it on, and after that, it kind of lost its way a little bit. So, is that kind of an answer?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What do you think? Is there a sequel that a franchise that you'd like to work on?
I would love to do an Alien.
Really? See, I just think it's been killed.
No, that's what I'd want to do with it. I would love to try to bring it back.
I think it's gone too far down the mine. It's like Terminator. Someone called me tomorrow and said, dude, we're doing a new Terminator. We've got $100 million. I'd be like, leave it, guys. Just let it go. And it's the same with Aliens. I think they've tried to make war movies, they've tried to make psychological. You had Ridley do all of his Ridley stuff, and it's like, find something new. Like, even on Hellraiser Judgment, and maybe I'll get yelled at for saying this, but my mantra on set was like, look, let's innovate, not replicate. And I think I'd rather see more of that. Is people just, the next movie that everyone goes, oh, this is fantastic. And those movies do come out. I mean, there are movies that come out every couple of years that people are like, I mean, I want to see Barbarian. I haven't seen Barbarian yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either.
It's really cool. And when Babadook came out, people were like, and again, horror polarizes, it always really polarizes. And Aliens really isn't a horror film, it's more of an action movie.
Yeah.
Because it's Cameron and the hell. And that's the key sometimes, is like, don't, take a horror movie and then maybe turn it into something else and, make it more widescreen, I think. I mean, if there was a franchise I'd like to work on, I'd like to have continued working on Hellraiser. I'd like to have been given an opportunity to have a reasonable budget. I don't want to talk in a crazy budget, but I'd love to have had $1 million.
More than $7,000.
Do a sequel to Judgment. And we were going to do it, but unfortunately, the Harvey Weinstein case brought that company down to the ground. And with it, my hopes and aspirations of doing a Hellraiser Judgment sequel.
Now, The Auditor, that was created for that movie. Was that your creation, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have the rights to that?
I believe so, yeah.
Hey, give The Auditor a movie, man.
Yeah, but people have to realise how hard it is trying to get these things made, and sometimes film companies will be like, do you own the rights, and how big is it? And, it's popular amongst these characters, but do you not have something else you can write on your own? It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's like dig up, it's holy I love The Auditor. I'd love to revisit The Auditor, but I don't know. The older you get, and I'm only at the right age of 53, it gets harder and harder and harder to do the dog and pony show and to hear the BS. because for the 110 movies that I've made and the 7 films that I've written and directed, I've had plans meetings for films that were going to happen, almost happened.
Yeah, you told me about that
Financing
yesterday.
was right there, like, we're going to do it. I mean, it's like the worst date you can ever have with a girl. It's literally like you're having dinner and she's like, yeah, we're going upstairs, I'm set. We're going upstairs, I'm set. Like, let's get in the elevator. You're in the elevator and she's like, yeah. And she's lifting up her dress and showing you her underwear and you're like, oh my god, this is fantastic. And you get to the hotel room and she's like, we're going to do it. And she lays on the bed and she's like, okay, take your clothes off. And take your clothes off. And she's like, starting to dress and then she goes, I'm going to leave now. And you're like, what? And that's what it's like working on, like trying to get a movie made sometimes. Like you think it's all systems go, it's going to happen, and here we go, and fantastic. And I've put the effort in and the work, and I've got the script, and I've been working for free on this thing, and I've been doing concept art. And it turns out that this millionaire from Texas who's got millions of dollars, just wants to put it into money, doesn't really have any money at all, and it's all just the whim of somebody who thinks that they want to be in the film industry. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Or you work with a studio, a big studio, for 6 months on a project, and just as you're about to get your deal, they decide to fire the 3 guys that you had working with, and a new guy comes in and says, oh, I'm not touching any of their projects. What happened with them was with them. I'm starting the pressure. I don't like your work. So, okay, it's miserable.
What's your biggest disappointment then? The biggest movie that you've worked on, then disappeared on you?
There was a film I wrote called No Man's Land, which is a World War I horror film. It takes place in the trenches the night before Christmas. And the idea is that the day before the holiest of days comes to the holiest of nights when demons walk the earth. When hell's low on its tally of souls, demons will go out into the killing fields and will hunt people. And a small battalion of German soldiers, like 6 of them, a small battalion of Allied force soldiers, in opposite sides of the trench, are being taken out by this demon, and they think it's them taking it out, and they realise like halfway through that they're being taken out, and they come together for one night to try and survive the night, and you find out this tale of this thing called the Black Angel, the Schwarzer Angel, and they survive for one night, and a couple of them do survive, and that's what causes them to play football
the next day on
Christmas Day, why the forces come together. But it's not because of Christmas, it's because they survived the night of this Black Angel. And twice I came so close where studios were like, yeah, we're going to make this and start putting together your team and it's going to happen, and literally you can smell the smoke on set, and we're looking at building sets and everyone's like, this is a great idea, it's going to be so cool. And then
See, you asked me what movie I wrote a script for the Blind Dead movies.
all right.
And I got it way into things, and they were like, one company was like, "Duh, we don't think that's a franchise that we, and other funds was like, what's your budget?" And I'm like, I have no idea. I just wrote a script. I have no idea.
Yeah,
after
which is
that.
weird. I'm afraid that's actually a red flag, really, in this industry. If someone says that, because they shouldn't ask you. It's not for you. You say, "I'm a writer." I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like hire somebody, hire a line producer. He'll break it down and tell you. It's not an expensive thing to do. There are line producers out there. They just like send me a script and they'll go through it and go, "This is a $3 million film or a $5 million film, or it's $3 million below the line, which is what it's going to cost to shoot this for 6 weeks." And then above the line, if you cast an actor at $1 million, add $1 million. If you decide to cast Tom Cruise, add $30 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's flexible, but the nuts and bolts of makeup, hair, camera, blah blah blah, is roughly $3 million for a 6-week shoot. You know what I mean? Depending on where you're going to shoot it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. So anyone who turns around and says, "Oh, we want to make this film. How much do you need?" It's like, why are you asking me?
I just wrote it. I don't know.
Bring in somebody else. And if they don't pursue that, then clearly they're not legitimate.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that I mean a lot of people who go, "Oh, I was on the edge of getting a film deal, mate," and I go, "I don't think you're as close as you think."
No, I was like, I've never had anybody else. I just people like, we'll pass on that. It's not what we're doing.
Have people tell you they like their script usually around anywhere else? It's a bit like a girlfriend asking you if she's fat. You know what I mean?
That's a nice thing to say.
Most people are like, "Oh, do you like my script?" "Oh, yeah, it's great. Awesome. Do you want to buy it?"
No. Yeah, we like the option. Yeah.
I'm afraid it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Usually what you want is someone to go, "We read your script." I mean, I had it very recently. I had the best the best couple of words you can ever get off a producer. It's very simple. They don't mess around. There's no foreplay, and there's no kind of let's deal. They said the very best thing you could possibly say. I had a pitch meeting, and at the end of the pitch, I'm doing my pitch, elevator pitch or high concept pitch, and the producer just literally goes, "Have you told anyone else's story?" And I went, "No." And he went, "No one else has heard it. Your agent, no other studio." And I went, "No." And he went, "Okay, send it to us whenever." Don't send it to anyone.
Oh.
And that's what you want to hear. And that was HBO.
That's HBO.
And you don't want to. That's what you want. You don't. That's like going to a girl and saying, "Would you like to go on a date?" And the girl just says, "Yeah, cool." Not,
well, yeah.
I'm seeing my friends tomorrow night, and then the next night I'm going out with my family.
You want the definite yes or the definite no. Yeah.
But that was the best. That's the best answer you can get, which is literally, you haven't shown this to anyone else.
Yeah.
Has anyone bought this? Have you registered it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That just quiet, contemplative look where they're kind of rolling around in their head. First movie I ever pitched to a studio that got made within the Rock. I'm doing the whole thing. I'm in an office with Barbara Javits, me and Robert Patrick, Terminator, are in there, and I'm doing the whole thing. And she's listening, and then she said the most magical phrase. She went, "This is going to be really cool," and it wasn't. This could be really cool.
This is going to be.
This might be really cool. She went, "This is going to be really cool," and I just went, and I just thought, "Shut up, Gary, while you're ahead." And I went, so as you can probably tell, I tend to be rather verbose. And I just went, and she went, "Yeah, this is going to be really cool." And then she took her eyes off me and looked at my producer and went, let's move forward on this." And I was like, and then we did that stupid thing where we all went out to the office, went to the bathroom and literally high-fived and jumped around in the bathroom like idiots. And on that situation, 6 months later we were on set.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So I mean, $1.2 million when I was 27, shooting in Toluca Lake with Robert Patrick as my producer.
Heck yeah.
Best story I can tell about that is Robert. At the time when I met Robert and we were doing the film, he was shooting striptease with Demi Moore.
Yeah.
So he had long hair and a beard and was kind of scruffy looking. Didn't look like the Robert Patrick.
Yeah.
And I'd been seeing Robert every day in the room. He had an office, shooting every day. And then a couple of days went by, and I went to open the door one day, and Robert came to the door. What I didn't realise is they were about to shoot Terminator 2. The Ride, Time, or it was called, and he'd literally just had his hair cut and shaved and been styled into the Terminator. And I opened the door, and he just came through the door, and it was like, holy shit, it's the Terminator. I mean, and you don't realise how iconic that look is until you're face to face with it. And I was like, Jesus Christ! And he's like, and Rob was like, yeah, it's pretty intimidating. And I was like, dude, it's amazing. And I was like, wow. And I went, so do it. And he went, you see this boy? And I was like, that's fucking great, and he was like, hey, nice boy. And I was like, that's great. I just went home like on a high.
I have to be Terminator 2.
I just got to fucking hit the Terminator. Fucking kick ass. It was awesome.
You told me you were in a band.
Oh yeah, I was in several.
What was your band's name?
First band I was in was called Nova. Then I was in a band called Saber. Then I was in a band called Elite. Then I was in a band called The Dark. And I've always wanted to be in a band called Cupid with a Bazooka. Cupid. So there you go. So yeah, a couple of bands.
Punk, rock?
Oh, heavy metal.
Heavy metal, yes.
I was a rock singer. Still am. I still record. Excuse me. It's a burrito atlas. I still record vocals for. I do a lot of sound-alike vocals. Like I'm a very 80s rock voice, very Sebastian Bach kind of voice I have, without the attitude, and the big cock. I have that kind of rock. Some would say dated, I guess, but yeah.
No, it's what's hot again. All that stuff's coming back again.
Yeah. I mean, I can do a pretty cracking rendition of Dream Warriors and that kind of stuff. That's one of my ranges, so I am pretty comfortable singing in a range. Classic rock.
I just seen Dokken 2 years ago, Sebastian Bach a year ago.
Or Don can't really do anything. They should call me.
He actually did pretty good.
Don called me.
He actually did pretty good, I think.
He did?
He come out in the first...
They tuned down.
The first song, it was like he wasn't really into it. And then like the second song, he started getting into it. By the third song, he was really...
warmed up? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And he did good, because it was...
I just tend to fake the playbacks, they tend to be pitched. They're singing it's a lot lower tones. They're kicked down several... He's not singing the original.
No.
The original mark, which is a shame, because I was like, whoa. You know, it's a lot lower than it should be. But Sebastian's still there, you know what I mean? Those are hard songs to sing, you know, alone. I remember you, so I've done it several times. So
I saw the Slave to the Grind tour in 1991, and I saw the Slave to the Grind tour 2021. So it's the 30-year mark.
I'm a huge Mel fan even now. There's lots of bands. I mean, I've been pushing Ghost for a few years now. Powell for a band I'm really into. I love Powell. I still love the classic stuff, but I'm sorry, but I think there are bands who just need to knock it on the head. They really are. I adore the Scorpions, but Class Main is just worn out. And those guys should just stop. They should have stopped 5 years ago, and they're starting to ruin their rep. It's Judas Priest. They need to stop and go home. It's like, I get it, but guys, go out with a little dignity. It's like Rob's voice, even Rob's voice now, the fucking brilliant Rob Halford, he's starting to crumble a little bit, and it's heartbreaking to me. And guys who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s, you know, early 60s, tinting their hair jet black and their eyebrows jet black and their beards jet black, so they've got two giant, you know, black, and going on stage in spandex pants and God knows what. It's like, do it with some goddamn taste. I saw Europe on stage the other day, and it was like, those guys are at least doing it properly, you know, like they look decent, they're not wearing stupid 80s clothes. It's like, bands that I love, I feel like I can't support them and say, oh, I love this band, because they look like a bunch of idiots, you know? And yet there's some great stuff. They look like Dead Daisies. Glenn Hughes is rocking it with Dead Daisies right now, and but it's like Robin McCauley of Michael Schenker group. It's like, Robin, for God's sake, just get a stylist and lose all the chains and the biker jacket and the over tinting of the black hair. It's like, for God's sake.
They look like
me saying this with bright bleached white hair. What an asshole!
I think they look like the dads of the guys who originally invented.
Like dad bands.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's a cool way of doing it. I mean, like I know the guys in Leopard, but even Leopard are a bit overdressed. It's like, pull it back a little bit. You know, if you can't walk down the street in it, then you shouldn't be wearing it. You know?
No.
If you're wearing glittery pants,
yeah, I'm a metal guy from.
It's like Kiss. But you know, like, I loved Kiss. I've seen them a bunch of times. But Paul is lip syncing now. He really, really is. And Gene isn't. And it's great. Gene isn't. But it's like, guys, you know, this end of the road. How long is this road? Fucking, this is the longest road I've ever seen. And it's great people are showing up. But most people are showing up because they're tourists. Do you know what I mean? They're tourists. They're not fans.
I went and seen Ozzy's No More Tour in 1992.
I mean, the truth is, it's not Ozzy who wants to do it.
No, he's
being jabbed in the back with a stick by Sharon.
They got
get on
he's
stage.
a puppet.
Get on stage. You know what I mean? It's like, let the man sleep. You don't need any more plastic surgery, Sharon.
Die.
You know what I mean? You know, it's like, stop for the love of. Let the man just rest now. You know.
When COVID hit, I thought, oh, they're going to retire. He's done because he got Parkinson's. COVID hit. Everything. It was a farewell tour. I was going to go see the farewell tour, take my kid, because I went to see Slayer's farewell tour with my kid. And I think Slayer went out on top. That last album was great. They weren't out there.
The ones who did it the best, I've got to say, I'll give them credit till the very end. Rush. They didn't even announce it. They did a tour, and all it was amongst the fans, we were all like, I don't think they're going to tour again. I think this is going to be the end. We all kind of figured it out. We all kind of know. And they didn't announce it. They didn't try and fleece you for any more money or bring in people. It's like, look, you kind of figured it out amongst yourselves. And everyone turned up in droves.
Yeah, now you got getting lead touring with Primus though.
Yeah, but it's not Rush.
No.
He really wants to practice.
Yeah.
That's great. Alex Life's a new band. He's a new band. Great. I love their new single. That's fantastic. Great. They shouldn't, just because Neil's died, doesn't mean they should stop making music.
Yeah.
They won't get John Petrucci and start, you know, or you know, or like some great drummer and like Scott.
Because I knew they were talking with somebody said they were trying to get Mike Portnoy.
No, they won't. I would never believe that in a million years. It's complete. I will say to my death that I don't care who said that. It's a fucking lie. There's no way they get it. They said, "Oh, let's get Mike Portnoy and we'll replace Neil Peart." It wouldn't happen in a million years.
Yeah.
Those guys are way. I mean, they literally after the death of his wife were like, "That's the end of the band." Yep. They didn't turn around and say, "Oh well, Neil's taking his sabbatical. We'll tour with another drummer." No. They don't need the money, and they've got the respect, and they are straight up guys. If anybody's just the nicest human beings on the planet, it is Rush.
I was lucky enough to see them on one of, oddly enough, not one of their greatest albums. I saw them on Roll the Bones tour back in the early '90s. Great show. And, one of the best shows.
Goes to the Chance on that album. That's a great song.
Yeah.
Goes to the Chance is a fantastic song.
Oh yeah.
And Roll the Bones is a good song.
Oh yeah. And I was like, yes, I fresh out of high school, went and seen Rush, and I think that was my graduation.
Did you get Rush 5?
Huh?
Did you get Rush 5?
Yes.
You got Rush 5.
That was my graduation present. Was tickets to go see Rush. So, all right. Before we go, I guess any upcoming projects? I know you're semi-retired.
Yeah, no, I did. I worked for a guy called Vincent Van Dyke, who's a brilliant young makeup effects artist, and he did a film called Dark Harvest, which is directed by David Slade, who did 30 Days of Night. Yeah. It's a cool period movie. We shot in October, Canada for 3 months. Quite hard working. This character in that was Jack. I that character in Whaley, and I want it. It's a very cool looking character. I still do the effects for one director, Patrick Lucier, who did I believe I've done all Patrick's Trick, and he just did a film called Play Dead with Jerry O'Connell and Bailey Madison, and we made it, and everyone was like, it's really good, and then the studio cut it and they were like, no, it's really so now they're holding onto it, and then Bailey got Pretty Little Liars for HBO, so Bailey stars and they're like, no, so let's hold on to it, and they're very excited about the film. I haven't seen it yet, but everyone who's seen it comes to me and goes, it's really good. So excited to see what happens with that. So that's called Play Dead, and then Patrick he's got 2 more films he's been doing in the next 6 months. One called Camera, one called Black Box, both horror, both very different, but very cool scripts, and hopefully I'll be on those. So
nice.
If Patrick does a film, no matter what, I will always work for him. He's the greatest director friend on the planet. I will walk through fire if he happens to asks me, and I usually end up doing the props for him. I will act in those movies occasionally, and yeah, it's just I can't say enough good things about him.
Nice. Well,
and he was the editor on the screen and stuff like that. He should have probably directed the last screen. Patrick Lucier is that guy should be making Marvel movies. Fantastic.
Now, how do you feel about that? The guy that goes from directing Hellraiser to directing Doctor Strange.
Oh, well, I mean, I think if you say it like that, it sounds very weird. But I think Scott, I think the Exorcism of Emily Rose is that's from business. Yeah. Scott's a really smart, straight mate, doesn't surprise me at all. And the fact that he did, he didn't go from Hellraiser to directing Marvel.
Yeah.
He went from Hellraiser to directing Emily Rose and directing one of the Blumhouse.
Yeah, I did.
Whether they are PG-13 movies, it's very successful. One of those that I don't really be careful. Lots of jumps and the other stuff. But also, you have to realise as well, Scott and his writing partner, if they did that work, they probably did a lot of ghostwriting on other projects as well. So it makes complete sense that they would, Scott would end up there. I think it's a terrible shame that we got to see Scott literally lose his job on camera. And if you don't believe me, guys, go back and watch the conference where Kevin Feige's announcing Doctor Strange 2, and Scott Derrick says, yeah, we're going to make the first ever scary Marvel film, and Kevin Feige goes, it's not going to be that scary. It's not going to be a horror film. It'll have scary elements, and Scott's like, and it's like, and there goes your job. And literally they hired Sam Raimi all the way later.
Nice.
But I'm sure Scott will bounce back and do something amazing. This is a brilliant director, very clever guy, very, very intelligent man.
Maybe we'll go do pull a James Gunn and go work for DC and put one of DC's horror guys to work.
Whatever Scott does, I'm sure. Again, Scott's a clever guy. I wasn't again. Don't forget the Day of the Earth still was a big budget film, so
Yeah.
it showed that he'd got knowledge of how to work with large group actors and all that. That's really what it comes down to with these studios. They want to see that you can ship, that you can work on different levels and handle the 60-day shoots with large talent.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Scott's a clever guy. So yeah, no, I was thrilled. Just as Andy called me and asked me about it. But I understand why he didn't, because honestly, whilst I worked my ass off on Hellraiser Inferno, I suspect he was probably not 100% happy with everything, but I was compromised by finances. So I'm sorry. Sorry if you didn't like everything I did, but I love what you've done. So like I say, I still think Exorcism Emily Rose is a film I'm still watching now. The idea of courtroom drama that's a horror film is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's. I loved it. My wife was the one that talked me into go see it. She loves courtroom dramas, and I was like, oh, it's a horror movie courtroom drama.
Few Good Men, the greatest. I mean, the idea of saying, let's do a Few Good Men, but as a horror film is fantastic.
Oh yeah. Well, sir, I greatly appreciate you being on the show.
I greatly appreciate me being on the show too. Absolute pleasure, and to the guest of your podcasts, thank you very much, and long may it continue.
Yeah. Can you tell people to watch the Group Therapy TV podcast?
Can I tell people to watch the Group Therapy podcast?
Yes.
People, you should all watch the Group Therapy podcast and get your therapy on.
That's great. Thank you.
Well,